Good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back to our online Pali reading class, day 98. Yeah, in another 2 days, we are going to have our 100th class, almost spanning over 2.5 years. So let us get started the class by paying respect to the book. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. As you know that we started discussing the Pandita Varga last Thursday, and today we are going to discuss the second stanza of the Pandita Varga, which is going to be stanza number 77. Let's take a look at the stanza today. I'm going to recite first. Over the Anusaseya Asabhacha Nivaraye Satang Hiso Pyo Hoti Asatang Hoti Appyo. See, yeah. Over Anusaseya Asabhacha Nivaraye Satang Hiso Pyo Hoti Asatang Hoti Appyo. Now, as usual, I'm asking groups to read. First, I would ask group 1. Is there anyone who would like to read from group 1? Please go ahead. Yes, Melin, please go ahead.
Sukhihotu Bhante.
Yes, Sukhihotu.
Odeya Anusasaya Asaba Cha Nivaraye Satang Hi So Piyo Hoti Asatang Hoti Apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Group 2. Someone from group 2? Yes, Meon, please.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asaba Cha Nivaraye Satan Hi So Piyos Hoti Asatam Hoti Apiyo.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Group 3, Lisa, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Yes, good evening.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asabha Cha Nivareya Satanhi So Piyo Hoti Asatam Hoti Apiyo.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And group 4, yes, KBR, please.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asabacha Niwaraye Satan Hiso Piyo Hoti Asatam Hoti Appiyo.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And group 5. Yes, Melinda, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Bhante. Ovadeya Anusasaya Asaba Cha Nivaraya Satam Hi So Piyo Hoti Asatam Hoti Apiyo.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
Group
Bhante.
6. Yes. Group 6. Same form, please.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asavacha Nivaraya Satan Hi So Piyo Hoti Asatam Hoti Apiyo.
Okay, great. And group 7. Group 7. Anyone from Group 7? Yes, Doris, please go ahead.
Thank you, Bhante. I'm from Group 8, Bhante. Is
Uh,
it okay?
okay, if there is nobody from Group 7, yes, please. Group 8.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asabacha Nivaraye Satan Hiso Biyo Hoti Asatam Hoti Apiyo.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
All right. So now, give me a second before I ask others to, yes, I'm asking others to read. Let me open the other platform here. Because I can edit well. Right. It's better. Okay, so we'll be asking from Owen or yes, please go ahead.
Good evening, Bhante.
Yes, good evening.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asabacha Nivarayi Satang Hiso Piyo Hoti Asatang Hoti Apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
And
Bhante.
Ochuma, please.
Good evening, Bhante. Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asabacha Nivareya Satanhi so piyo hoti Asantang hoti apio.
Did you say Nivaraya or Nivaraye?
Nivareye.
Nivaraye.
Sorry? Bhante?
Nivaraye.
Nivareye.
Nivaraye, yes.
Nivareya, is that?
No,
So sorry. My hearing, sorry?
because there is no A here at the end. There is
Nivareya.
Nivaraye.
Oh, Nivareye.
Nivaraye.
Is that right? Nivareye.
Yes, Nivaraye is correct.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry,
Okay,
very
great.
bad hearing.
Okay. Suzanne, please.
Thank you, Bhante. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Ovadeya Nusasaya Asaba Chanivareye Satanhi So Pio Hoti Asatam Hoti Apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And 910, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Ovadeya Anusaseya Asabacha Nivareya
Nivaraye. Nivaraye.
Nivaraye.
Ye.
Okay. Nivaraye. Satanhi so pio hoti asatang hoti apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And yes, Pauline. Yes.
Sukihotu, Bhante, and everyone.
Sukihoto. Yes.
Bhante, just a point clarification. Satang, what's the difference? The N with the on top, Satang and Asatang. What's the difference to pronounce?
Pronunciation is same.
Same.
There is a little bit of grammatical change over there. Other than that, like when we hear it from someone, it is the same.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Ovadeya Anusasaya Asabacha Nivaraye Satang hi so pio hoti Asatang hoti apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
One more thing to add. Normally, these two words are given together. You can see here, but I just made a space for you to read in a comfortable way. That's why that N, it has become N, not M. Because when normally the last letter of the first word, if it is a vowel, there are changes. Other than that, pronunciation-wise, same sound. There's no anything to worry about it. Okay, so then Seri.
Sukihotu, Bhante.
Sukihotu.
Ovadeya
Anusaseya. Asabah che niwaraye. Satan hei so pio hoti. Asatan hoti apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
And
Bhante.
Jenny, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Ovadeya anusaseya. Asabacha nivaraye.
Mm.
Satang hi so pio hoti. Asatang hoti apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And Isa.
Thank you, Bhante, and good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Ovareya anusaseya. Asabhacha nivaraye. Satanghi sopio hoti. Asatang hoti apio.
Okay, great. And Margaret.
Evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Ovadeya anusaseya. Absubacha nivaraye. Satam hi so pio hoti. Asatam hoti apio.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, now I wonder whether we have Jacqueline and Angela with us today. They are newcomers for today. Perhaps we can ask them to. Do we have Jacqueline here? If not, how about Angela? Is Angela here, Lisa? Okay. Angela, would you like to try? You can try. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, let's give it a try. Not
all right.
bad.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm just driving.
Yes.
I'll just Owadea Anusaseya Asabata Niwaraye. Sorry, I'll just Satang Heso Pio Hoti Asatang Hoti Apio.
Okay, great. Yeah. You are catching up very fast. Fast learner. And then who else? Anybody else? Yeah, please raise your virtual hand. Anyone else who decided later that you want to try? All right, so in that case, we are going to now move on to the translation, contextual understanding, story, and all that at this point. Let me undo this. Okay, right. Now, you can see when you look at this stanza, something very interesting. Now, earlier, I mean, last Thursday, we were looking at the nature of advice. I would say, nidhi nama pavattaram and all that. I mean, maybe in that case, what do you call a wise person can guide us. Perhaps wise person might say something that we might not like in the first place, but maybe kindly, compassionately looking at the future. If you happen to do that same mistake, akusala thing again, or maybe something like that. So considering the drawback of our mental states, akusala mental states, the wise person can help us in that way. But today we are going to look at something very interesting. This stanza is telling us 3 things that a wise person can do to us. We have to specifically understand these 3 things, and some of the words are paradoxical sometimes. Let's take a look. Ovadeya anusaseya. How many of you have heard this Pali word? Ovad. Ovad. What does this mean? Then there's another Pali word called. Oh, give me a second. Sumita. Avavada. We will look at these Pali words. There are some differences. Ovada, avavad, and apavad. You might not see this word sometime. Okay. Sumita, would you like to read?
Ovada, avava.
No, I mean, no, the stanza. I mean, we will get into this.
Oh, I
Yes.
see. Sorry.
Yeah. The verse.
Ovadeya anusaseya asabbacha nivaraye. Satang hiso piyo hoti, asatang hoti apiyo.
Okay, great. Now, we are going to understand this Pali word called ovad. Now, you can see here, I have translated ovad to be correcting someone. What is the situation that someone can correct you? This is a one-time activity. I mean, one-time activity refers to that when you make a spiritual mistake, maybe when you cannot keep up with your Dhamma practice, someone, I'm assuming someone, is kindly correcting you, not trying to show you that I'm a perfectionist in my spiritual practice. You must do the same thing. Kindly, compassionately correcting me. We will talk about what are the ways in doing that, because the problem is the way how such people are doing that to us. That's the place where people get uncomfortable. So, ovada in this context, in Pali, means when someone has done a mistake, in particular spiritual mistake, a kind sappurisa, wise person, is going to correct that person. Why? It already happened. Ovada. Okay. Then the next word is anusasana. You can see it here. Ovada, ovadeya, anusaseya. It has taken the verb form. Anusaseya. The next word is anusasana. Anusasana. Anusasana means this is a multiple time activity. Advising. How to understand that part? Now, what do you learn when you go to the temple, when you listen to a Dhamma talk, when you see someone who is elderly than you, maybe someone who can guide you? That person will not pick up a certain mistake in your life. The person will give an advice. So, anusasana means a piece of advice that a wise person will give to us, not pointing at a certain mistake we have done. Now think about, ever since you know 5 precepts, Sangha members and whoever, they are going to tell you not to kill, not to steal. They are telling you, right? The other day we were talking about pleasant guidance and harsh guidance, and both pleasant and harsh guidance according to Kesi Sutta. But here we understand ovada means a correction by a wise person in the event of a mistake, spiritual failure. And anusasana is an advice that will be given by a wise person to someone in general. And the person should not need to do a bad thing by that point, right? So think about, everybody is telling us, please take care of yourself, stay safe, stay happy, right? We have to make some arrangements to be happy, right? We have to make arrangements to take care of us, because safety does not come to us easily, right? So then that could be a general guidance. So ovada means a maybe one-time correction that Sampurisa is doing to us. It could be a one-time thing, but if we make a lot of mistakes, it could be not one time, different mistakes. So Sampurisa will correct us in many times, perhaps. But anusasana means general guidance that are given to people by wise people for the future. Right? So this is how we understand our Ovada and Anusasana. That means wise people are giving two things. They are doing two things. One is they are giving the Ovada, and they are giving Anusasana. So if you are a wise person, you are supposed to give Ovada and you are supposed to give Anusasana. How many of you are doing that? The first thing is you have to know whether you are a Sappurisa or not, and then you can do it, right? People might not trust you otherwise. And why are you trying to guide me? I don't want your advice at this point. That's why we are trying to look at how to do these things. We have to first win the trust of people that we want to guide, right? For a Sangha member, you go and learn, right? You have no problem with that. But with regard to your colleagues, other people, then you are maybe following a certain way in order to get that. But if there is a Sappurisa is supposed to, wise person is supposed to do Ovada at the same time, Anusasana. Okay. The third thing a Sappurisa is doing is, let's put this number 1, 2, and this is the third one. Nivaraye asabbacha. Oh, asabbacha nivaraye. Asabba means akusala behavior. Could say rude behavior. Could say akusala behavior. Nivaraye. Sabba means decent. Asabba means indecent behavior. I mean, if you look at literal translation. Asabba, indecent behavior. Could say rude behavior. So the third thing a Sappurisa is to do is that Sappurisa prevents you in becoming mean to others, in becoming rude to others, right? So the first thing is to do Avavada, second is to do Anusasana, third is to prevent any other from engaging in rude behavior. So this is the way how a Sappurisa is doing things for other people, and thereby what will happen is the effect that Sappurisa is posing on people. If you look at good people, bad people, Satang hiso piyoho. Satang means good people. So wise people, other wise people, piyohoti, like that person. Such a person is pleasing to good people. Satang hi so piyohoti. So for other good people, such a person is such a very precious being. Asatang hoti apyu. At the same time, that particular wise person will become a certain person that bad people dislike. That means when you become a good person, sometime you might have a certain silent people. I mean, silent, I couldn't say they are enemies. I would say people who might not agree with you, right? It is unavoidable. What to do? But we should know how to keep them in a situation that do not escalate that conflict, disagreement, right? So what we here understand is that Sappurisa has 3 characteristics. That means Sappurisa is doing Ovada. Sappurisa can correct kindly, not unkindly, not in a way that Sappurisa is going to put us down. Second is Sappurisa is guiding us, giving some general guidance, advices for the future. And the third is Sappurisa is preventing us in being rude, in being indecent, in being mean to other people. And such a Sappurisa is likened by, very much appreciated by other Sappurisas and not by the Asappurisas. So this is the meaning of the stanza. Let such a one wise person correct you, advise you, and restrain from rude, mean behavior. such a person was pleasing to the good, but displeasing to the bad. The story is Asaji Punabba Sukhavat. Asaji Punabba Sukhavat. We will take a look at the story. But before that, we will discuss one more time the Pali words here, especially these words. Ovada is correcting. Avavada means another form of what you call, this is another similar word for Ovada. Apavada means insulting. Apavada. All right, I think the rest of the words are very clear to all of us. And now let's take a look at Asaji Punabba Sukha Vatu. Who is Asaji? Who is Punabbasu? These are two monks. Normally we know in the Gautama Buddha's, Shakyamuni Buddha's time, there was a group of disruptive monks. We call them as Chabbagya. This is the Pali term for them. Chabbagya monks. Chabbagya monks means 6 disruptive monks. They always disagree with the Buddha. Now, you always know about Venerable Devadatta, right? Who was acting against the Buddha. But Devadatta was acting within a certain aspect. But there were other monks, especially these 6 monks. Who are they? Asaji. The second is Punabbasu. These are the 2 monks that involved in the incident. The third one is Mettya. The fourth is Bhumajaka. The fifth one is Panduka. Sixth one is Lohitaka. So it is said that Asaji Punabbasuka operated as a group. I mean, they were living in a certain place. They were living in Kitagiri city. And Mettya, Bhumajaka, they lived in Rajagaha, the place where the Buddha got his first temple. And Panduka, Lohitaka, they lived in Jetavana temple. Okay. So Asaji Punabbasuka lived in Kitagiri, Mettya Bhumajaka lived in Rajagaha, Panduka Lohitaka lived in Jetavana. Now, out of these 6 disruptive monks, Lohitaka, Panduka, they are much better compared to others because they had to live with the Buddha in the Jetavanarama temple. What happened was that these 3 groups, Asaji Punabbasuka, Mettya Bhumajaka, Panduka Lohitaka, had 500 fellow monks. So they were not regular what you call mainstream Buddhist monks at that time. They were doing certain disruptive activities. Some were normal, some were a little bit strange. And then what happened? One monk told the Buddha that there is an issue with regard to Kitagiri, city of Kitagiri, where Venerable Asaji and Punabbasu living. So then the Buddha thought, I would talk to Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana, because all these 6 monks are disciples of Venerable Sariputta. Very interesting. But what happened was that the only person the 2 persons that all these 6 monks hated were Sariputta, Moggallana too. Right? Maybe they are they are teachers in a way. So what happened? One day, the Buddha asked Arahant Sariputta and Moggallana, your disciples, especially Asaji Punabbasu, who are living in Kitagiri city, they are very disruptive. Perhaps you may go there. You may Ovada, Anusasana, and third one, what you call? Asabbaja Nivari. Do these 3 things. If they cannot agree with your teachings, ask them to leave the temple. So this was the instruction the Buddha gave to Arahant Sariputta and Moggallana. So Arahant Sariputta and Moggallana went to the city of Kitagiri. And then what happened? Then they started doing Ovada and then Anusasana to fellow monks in that temple who were under Asaji Punabasu. What happened? Some left the temple and they asked Asaji Punabasu, 2 monks, to leave the temple too. And some monks understood what happened. They accepted the Ovada and Anusasana from Arahant Sariputta and Moggallana. They made sure that we will listen to your Ovada Anusasana and we will not take a chance anymore, and we will follow your guidelines. So then this was the moment the Buddha actually uttered this stanza being in Jetavanarama. And then what happened actually after that was that some of the monks who left the temple, they hated Arahant Sariputta and Moggallana because why did you both have to intervene this issue? Right? So then they are the ones we understand by Asatang Hoti Api. They didn't like both of them, Arahant Sariputta and Moggallana. And the monks who did understand their mistakes, they thought that this was a wonderful opportunity for us to understand our own mistakes, our spiritual problems, and then to get back to normal. So this was what happened in that context. So, Arahant Sariputta is always mentioned as a mentor because, the Buddha's son, Arahant Rahula, one day approached Arahant Sariputta and asked him, Venerable Sir, now you are sweeping the compound here. I can see that one of the edges of your robe is drooping over to the ground. So that means your robe is getting dirty. At that time, Arahant Sariputta put the put the broom aside, and then he said, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Even a 7 years old monk is to advise me, ovada me. I wholeheartedly accept that advice. Arahant Sariputta is saying, the advice came from, ovada came from Arahant Rahula, who was just 7 years old. How would you accept that? Would you accept, forget about enlightenment, huh? Would you accept any wholesome advice given by anybody? Are you open to that? That is what we are going to discuss today. Are we open to that, or are we saying, no, you are too young to advise me. You are too inexperienced to think about it. And you are not my teacher. I will ask from the teacher, right? So are we open to that mindset? Right? So here we understand Arahant Sariputta was very much disliked by some monks because he was giving advices. At the same time, he was showing other monks and nuns that regardless of who is going to give an advice, advice is advice. Ovada is ovada. Anusasana is anusasana, right? Because this was one example with regard to Arahant Sariputta. So what happened was that Arahant Sariputta was mentoring many young monks and others. And even Arahant Rahula was said to have thrown some amount of sand every morning, thrown into the sky, and then wishing, may I get this many Ovada Anusasana today, to the extent of how much sand I am throwing down. So even Arahants were expecting Ovada Anusasana. How about us? No, I'm maintaining my Sakai. You don't say that. I'm maintaining myself. I don't need anybody's advices. You mind your own business. I mind myself. May others mind their own business. So this is the problem that we are going through in our daily life. But the problem is, there are other people who might give over the Anusasana with some ulterior motives. We have to understand that too. Maybe they have their hidden agendas too. But if we can pay attention to the nature and then the effect of that advice, it is better to take it while thanking that person. Right? Okay, so this is the idea. Let's take a look at the notes here. I put it this way, kind correction. How about your experiences of kindly correcting someone? And how have you done it? What was the experience you got immediately, or maybe after a couple of days, after some time? Were they good experiences to you? Have you corrected anyway? I think you are doing that all the time, right? Because of that, you are stepping onto very big issues as well from people, right? What was the experience you had? Maybe we can ask someone to share. We will continue the conversation that way. What were your experiences with regard to kindly correcting someone with regard to something in the proper manner? Maybe not in public, maybe in a private way, maybe in a good time. Anybody wants to share about this? If you don't tell me, then I understand you have no Kalyana Mittas, okay? That's the ripple effect on my side, because Kalyana Mittas can share with us. This is not a good thing to do, right? Yeah. Any example? Now, what is the purpose of having Kalyana Mittas? To say yes to everything what we are doing? That's a very, very dangerous move, actually. Say yes to everything what I am doing. Don't disagree with me. That's a very bad move in our life. We don't know where I'm heading, actually, at that point. Okay? Even the Buddha, well, I can't say Buddha was advised by people. The Buddha listened to people, right? He listened to people, even though he is omniscient and all that, in that way. Remember when Visakha approached the Buddha and then telling the Buddha about some of the things, about how people think about certain aspects of monks and the temple, and Buddha laid down certain certain disciplinary things with that. Even Vassa, Katina, they were not original functions in a temple during the Buddhist time. But when people started complaining, giving the feedback to the Buddha, and he started approving those things. What does it mean by approving those things? So Buddha was kind of flexible to the reality. Now, why are we supposed to receive advices and guidance? We have to be flexible with the reality. We can theorize Dhamma a lot, but that might not be the reality on the ground with regard to the practice. It's like asking people to find a righteous job. Easy to find, hard to stay, right? Asking to find righteous jobs. How to find a righteous job in this job dynamic in today's world, right? So we have to look at the practical side. So what could be the experiences we might have with regard to correcting? I know there may have some of the bad experiences, but if you are really a Sappurisa to your friend or your friends, if you think that you could guide them in a way, you could give an advice to someone, by looking at the proper time, then you are doing your Kalyana Mitta responsibility. May I know your responsibilities as a Kalyana Mitta? I think we can open up this conversation through that. What is your responsibility as a fellow Kalyana Mitta to another Kalyana Mitta in a temple or in your community? What is your responsibility? Anybody? Yes. Yes, please. SM, cool. Yeah.
I think our responsibility is try to keep each of us in line with the practice.
Any
Uh,
example you can share with us? I mean, if it is not too personal, without names.
right now, my sister and I were trying to help a family member try to improve, try to have a better communication and relationship in his family. But he is quite elderly, 70, late 70 plus. So he's quite adamant in his view. And he's very old-fashioned in his thinking. He thinks that, oh, it must be done that way. And he kind of tried to tell his son, what to do, even though the son is already 50 years old. And we're trying to tell him privately, just between the three of us, that, the kids are having their own life. We shouldn't interfere anymore. We've come to a stage where we feel that he's not really absorbing any of our good intentions. So we kind of giving it up and say, okay, if that's the way you feel you are correct, then we can't do anything else to help you. If you don't want to help yourself, then we can't do anything to help you. You yourself have to realize your situation, and you yourself have to want to change and improve that relationship.
Good. But do you see any improvements in him after you're trying to give him some support?
Yes, he does. And then when he does, we'll compliment him. But then after that, he'll go back to his old habit. And he's one of his weaknesses. He doesn't see the positive side in his son.
Okay. I think
he only picks on the negative.
Maybe he needs more motivation. This is one thing, right? Because a motivator in the way that he wants to be motivated.
Yeah, that's why we are trying to work out how to do that.
That's something very important. Perhaps he might have not found his teacher yet. Maybe the teacher has not arisen in his life. Like Angulimala was very bad until the Buddha came over there and became his teacher. And then before that, Angulimala was such a very heinous person, right? Yeah. So anyways, your intention is the most important thing. Forget about what happened after that. We're trying, but we do understand it's a two-way approach, and maybe three-way approach. It might be a four-way approach sometimes, because different people need different instructions, custom-tailored advices, and but anyway, you think as a one of the things that you can do to another person, assuming he's a Kalyana Mitta, was that giving some support, at least to become a better person in his or her life. Yeah. That is one very important thing with regard to Kalyana Mittas. And then, yes, Susan, you want to share something?
Oh, I would just like to say, Chandima, if we are going to give advice and guidance, to try to do it in a very open way with the person's own personality and own way of thinking in mind, and not to take offense if they don't want our advice or guidance, to give them freedom to choose after we have helped support them.
So giving them options to consider, right? Rather than thinking, this is what I think about you, you must change that way.
Do not
some
dominate.
options.
To give them freedom, because they are different people to you. You may see it differently, but to make it a very open discussion, not an actual demand or dominance, then you may get further into the conversation and they may see some of your opinions to be valuable.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to give that guidance. I mean, this correction or rather. So one very important thing, as you mentioned, is that even your idea is the best idea, the demost idea with regard to that problem. Maybe it is better to present that with some options. This is what I think. If you want to follow it, you may follow it. If you don't want to follow it, that is up to you. I think that will respect the person's initial consideration. Should I absorb this idea or not? Right? Now, the biggest problem is not the right advice itself. How to let him internalize this idea, because he has his own wall, right, between being that person and that good version. So how to break that ice is to give some choices to that person, options to that person. Did the Buddha do that? Did he do that in his instructions? Did he give some choices to people? Now, this is the problem. When you learn only the suttas, you never know about it. You have to learn life of the Buddha too. That's a very good thing. That's why we are learning the Buddhist stories here. Also, one day maybe standardize understanding about life of the Buddha, because life of the Buddha is very important to learn first, right? So, did the Buddha give options, selections, choices to people when he advises them? Yes, he did. Think about Kisa Gotami. Now, Kisa Gotami brought the dead son to the Buddha, right? Her son was dead. And Kisa Gotami asked the Buddha, can you help regain his consciousness? Kisa Gotami does not accept son was dead. And what did the Buddha say? Everything is impermanent, so that everything is suffering, fleeting. Therefore, nobody retains any of the core of anybody's life. Was that the Buddha, what the Buddha told Kisa Gotami? No. Buddha understood Kisa Gotami's mentality at that point. Kisa Gotami is not fit for a Dhamma talk. What he said? Yes, I can cure your son, but on a condition. You must find some mustard from a house where no one has passed it. She was very happy. Oh, you are giving me a way. Okay. I will go find mustard from that particular house. And then she was very happily approaching one house, first house, and she was wondering, can I get some mustard? Yeah, we have lots of mustard in our kitchen. And during the activity of giving, she's asking, has anybody passed away? Our grandmother passed away a few years back. And this was the same answer she got after going to many houses. And finally, she herself understood what happened to her son is not something happened to her privately. And it is the same thing that will happen to all of us one day. And it is a universal thing that happens to us. And she did not go back to see the Buddha, she went to the cemetery. Even when Buddha was giving very serious Dhamma understanding, he gave choices. And what are the other things that he gave as choices? Now, when many non-Buddhists, I would say, definitely they were non-Buddhists, Brahmins, Paribhajakas, they used to come to the Buddha. At the end of the Dhamma talk, that Paribhajaka wanderer or Brahmin, they were very happy. They said something. What they said was, Abhikantam Bhogotama, Abhikantam. And this is a very famous phrase that is recurring at the end of many suttas. I am very happy. So upon my arrival in my house tonight, I am going to declare that under the Shakyamuni Buddha, I became a Buddhist today. From being a Hindu, and I became a Buddhist today. And then the Buddha said, you don't need to do that. You continue to become a Hindu, but you incorporate Buddhist teachings into your life. Choices, right? How do we handle this kind of situation today? A Catholic Christian comes to us and then learns something like 5 minutes of some Dhamma and then telling, I think I want to be a Buddhist. Yeah, you must be a Buddhist. You must change your faith. Thereby you can reap the best benefits of this Dhamma life. That is not what the Buddha did. Of course, that person will one day become Arya Savaka. But Buddha didn't want to say that. That is not a nice thing to say that. That is his sovereign choice. So as Susan said, one very important thing to do when it comes to Ovada as a Sappurisa is give them options, give them choices. That will be a very good way to say something to that person, right? What are the other ways that we may follow when it comes to giving an Ovada to someone? Yes, Polly?
Bhante, I find that some friends, they don't really want any advice. They just want you to listen to them, or sometimes maybe get confirmation for what they already want to do. So the only service you can do is basically listen, but nothing you say will enter or they will actually listen to. On the other hand, my experience, some friends are very generous in that sometimes we like to like give advice and they will take it very sportingly, so it depends, yeah. I guess
Yeah.
one thing, there's must be level of trust to be
Okay.
gained first and all that.
Yes. Now, this is a very important thing. This should happen before giving the choices, right? Now, we don't have to go and give our own version to anybody. Number one is listening. It shouldn't be a passive listen, right? It has to be an active listening. We don't have to give them options sometimes. If they want us to say something about it, we can give the options, different maybe things that person can do. So listening has to happen. I think when we listen to people actively, they will be opening up for us. There will be a good moment to give that good advice or rather to that particular person. Okay, listening, giving them options, and then what are the other things you may follow with regard to supporting a Kalyana Mitra or even a non-Kalyana Mitra as a friend? Yes, Cindy. Yeah, can you please unmute? Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
I feel that I'm not in a position to advise anybody anything, but what I do is I will bring them to somebody else, like bring them to the temple to talk to the Bhante or Ayah there. No, because I feel I'm not in a position. And I've done that once to a friend who was complaining about her daughter-in-law. So I brought her there and then she complained to the Ayah there. But finally after that, she did join her. I did advise her to go do chanting. And after that, she did find a chanting group to start chanting.
Okay, see, so coordination, right? You are coordinating. Sometimes we are not the right people to guide, right? If you are not the right person to guide, at least you connect that person to the right community, the brotherhood and sisterhood in the spiritual communities. Because sometimes some people don't expect solo advices. I don't know whether you have noticed that. They cannot meditate in the in their house. But when they join a group of meditators, then they meditate. Then why do you feel you are motivated? Because I'm in a group. When I look back, when I look outside of this place, many others are many. Why can't I meditate like that? So I have a problem if I cannot do that. So that means some people need that group motivation. Solo motivation is not enough for them, right? So motivation, listening, and giving them choices. But what are the things we should never do with regard to giving over the trying to give an advice in a way that we are superior than that person, we know more Dhamma than them. I mean, maybe we keep correcting people all the time. When you see straight, you're gonna correct someone. You see someone to the left, you're gonna say, this is not how you should sit down in the temple. This is not how you should eat. This is not how you should come. This is not the good time to come. Then you're gonna become a troublemaker. Don't go to that extent, because everyone needs that spiritual dignity to open up, right? Not everybody is having that nature, to come to that point. So we have to avoid those things, and then giving the respect and understanding what's going on, we will be helping them. Yes, Susan, you have anything else to add?
Thank you, Bhante. Also to remember to praise good practice as well. Bring some good comments in as well.
Can you give an example a little bit more?
Well, if you're giving advice and you're perhaps criticizing something they're doing, then to show that they're also doing good will give good feeling generally and make them more open to accepting advice.
So it's more likely not talking, but being a role model to them. In hindsight, say for instance, you are saying, hey, don't gossip, don't gossip. Gossip is bad. Gossiping is bad. There is some papalapa. Without telling that, you show that person, I am not gossiping. You don't tell that, follow me. But that person secretly, silently observes you. Look at that person. He or she can survive many hours without talking meaningless stuff, right? And you're going to be a role model to those fellow Kalyanamitas in the way of mindful speech, then following the practice and all that. Okay, so there are many ways to look at it. So being a role model, maybe listening, giving options, right? So there are many ways to look at it. But we should avoid certain things that might not work out with, when it comes to doing the Ovada Anusasana. Right. The first thing we're going to discuss is kind correction as a gift, not an insult. When someone kindly corrects us, our first reaction is often to feel hurt or defensive. I mean, this is the general perception. Not everybody, yeah. When you have a good Dhamma practice, you will respond differently. I know that. But if you are still a newbie, spiritual newbie, Dhamma newbie, you are just like going around, still like not have a solid practice, yes, you will be hurt very fast. Right? And yet correction, or I would say kind, within quote unquote, is not meant to humiliate, but to protect us from slipping deeper into error mistake for, I would call it as akusala. A wise person sees correction as a precious gift because it comes from someone who dares to care. To correct is to take responsibility for another's growth, even at the risk of being disliked. Only the personality, belief, ego, sakkaya ditthi is bruised. The heart and conscience are strengthened. This 77 verse reminds us that those who correct us kindly without an ulterior motive are not enemies, but guardians of our integrity, dignity, happiness. Can you at the moment think about a certain advice somebody gave you, but you were not really happy at that time? But now you can celebrate that advice. Your life took a very different turn after that, maybe 20 years after. At that time, you felt like you were very unhappy about that advice, right? So I think there must have been a lot of examples in your life, in all of our lives. At that time, we couldn't understand. We were not spiritually mature enough to understand, even Dhamma-wise, right? Now we understand these things happen for a reason. And now I'm awakening from my personal life itself before I go to Nibbana. I have to awaken first. I have to wake up, get up, and then awaken from my daily life first to think about that full enlightenment at a certain point. So the things that happen to us at different moments on those occasions could have been blessings in disguise in our life. Maybe they may have had ulterior motives, but later on, they turn to be the best directions which change our life. So let us treat such kind corrections as gift and not as insults. Number 2, prevention is better than cure. This is a very famous English quote. Advising someone preventatively. The Anusasana means, Anusasana is given, Anusasana means, the first one was correcting, Ovada. Anusasana means advising, guiding. Now, guidance doesn't need a certain situation. Guidance can be very blanket. I would say it can be given generally. So that kind of Anusasana or guidance This can happen multiple times, all the time, repeatedly. This is an act of foresight. It saves us from pain before the damage is done. Examples: a parent who warns a child about fire, or teacher who advises students against harmful habits embodies this principle. Most people only act when harm has already occurred. The wise intervene early. Preventative guidance is the highest form of compassion. Anusasana is the highest form of compassion because it spares both the individual and society from unnecessary suffering. To heed such counsel requires humility. This is something we have to discuss. But those who accept preventive advice ultimately become stronger, freer, and more secure in the long run. Preventive guidance is the highest form of compassion because it spares both the individual and society from unnecessary suffering. Okay, now let us say you have many kalyana mitras, but the guidance is not coming to you because maybe you are a little bit conceited about your life. What is the Pali term for conceit? Akusala term in Pali for conceit?
Mana.
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 Oh.
Mana. What do you think about manas, the removal of mana in our spiritual life? At which point can we remove mana in our enlightenment process? If you look at technical.
The humble.
Arahant.
Fourth. Fourth fruition.
Fourth means?
Fourth fruition.
Now, only when you become an arahant. That means Sotapanna has conceit, Sakadagami has conceit, Anagami has conceit. So don't worry when people are very conceited. Don't worry, this is a normal situation. Just let it go. Sometimes you are thinking, these are Buddhists, how come you are very conceited? You are bragging about yourself. Even Anagami has conceit, but not the normal conceit. Anagami conceit is that, why am I not an arahant? They are comparing the next stage and their existing stage. Sakadagami's mana is that, why am I not an anagami? Sotapanna's conceit is, why am I not a sakadaga? And then those who have not come to any stages, what is their man? Their man is, why have I not become any of those four? That is their man, enlightenment kind of mana. And then when it comes to non-enlightenment part, they have mana with regard to their money, education, people around them, right? So in order for us to get benefited from a sappurisa, we need a certain quality. Now, we already talk about Sappurisa's, engagement. Sappurisa is going to do Ovada to us, correct us kindly, and then give us guidance, and then prevent us in being mean to others. But although I am surrounded with many Kalyana Mitras, Sappurisa, but still, what if I haven't been able to get benefited from any of those people? It is because I am not humble enough to respect their guidance. I have something that makes me very rigid in my understanding about life. So as long as I'm maintaining that rigidity, that extreme understands, just like how the earlier participant said, that that person has a lot of his own understanding, views, attaching to views. Like what's happening in today's world. People are asked to become one of them. Either you must be a conservative or a liberalist, or you must be in the left wing or the right wing. So as Buddhists, why do we have to be stuck in the binary of these political things? We have to transcend liberal and conservative ideas. That is the Buddhist way. If we get stuck into one of them, then we are having michariti, right? Then you have to defend them. Then you are trying to protect them from the enemies. How many people are wasting their time on social media every day to protect their politician, protect their party? They are wasting their time from morning to evening. And then they are catching up the whole night messages in the morning when they wake up. Okay, today 20 messages came in around 2 o'clock. They are wasting their time When you are a Buddhist, you understand, you don't want to hold on to one particular idea. Because my own idea is Noble Eightfold Path, Samadhi. When it comes to politics and the views about society and anything, I want to be harmonious with regard to my conative ethical aspects, right? And otherwise, I will become a victim of these two types of mainstream politics, right? I'm wasting my time. So then, if you are willing to get over the Anusasana from a Sappurisa, you have to place a high emphasis on humility. Humility means, can we think about a Pali word for this? What is the Pali word for humility or being humble? Where do we find it?
Mangala Sutta.
Mangala Sutta.
Nivato.
Mangala Sutta?
Nivato.
Nivato is one. And then what about the Metta Sutta?
Metta Sutta.
Yes.
Anatimani. Right?
Imani.
Anatimani. Anatimani. That is a skillful habit you need to practice metta meditation. If you are not a humble person, your metta doesn't work. You will go sit down and say those prayers, may I be well and happy. But metta will not flourish in your practice. Why? You haven't practiced the 15 skillful habits, starting from Sakko, Uju, Suju, and those 15. One of them is what we call Anatimani. You might not be able to overcome it 100%. At least you know that sizing up unnecessary comparisons are not good for my spiritual life. Right? So the person who has humility will be a good candidate who will get benefited from over the Anusasana activities of a Sappurisa. So let us get benefited from Sappurisas by thinking that humility is the best way to get supported for that. Restraint protects the whole community. This is Sabba. We could see here. Asabba cha nimari. Asabba means mean behavior. Sabba means good behavior, right? So when the verse says restrain others from rude, mean behavior, it points to a responsibility that extends beyond the self. Restrain nivarana. It's not about controlling others for power, but about maintaining the moral space when trust and harmony thrive. In a monastery, workplace, or a family, unchecked misconduct erodes the dignity of all. A single person's rudeness, meanness, or arrogance can poison the environment. Therefore, the act of restraining is also an act of protection for the victim, the community, and even the wronged. The one who restrains injustice plays the role of silent guardian, creating a safer and nobler world. Okay, how do we understand this part? It is said that Sappurisas are trying their level best to support other people in preventing them be a part of those akusala activities. Now, you know, if you are a parent, if you have children, then you must have read about the Sigalovada Sutta DN 31. In that sutta, Buddha says, the first and the second responsibilities of every parent is to Papa Nivarinti, Kalyani Nivesenti. Papa Nivar, the same idea. Parents are supposed to prevent their children in associating the Papa or in resorting into the Papa activities. And then what are they supposed to do? Kalyani Nivesenti. Parents are supposed to establish them in the kusala things, not the right thing. Right thing can be defined differently. This is right for somebody, this is right for somebody else. Kusala things. So in today's world, we understand parents are supposed to become friends in a way, right? It is good, but they must do the parenting. One of the most important part of the parenting in Buddhism, Buddhist parenting, is that parents are supposed to tell them what is wholesome and what is unwholesome towards for their children. Now, it is the same activity that Buddha is telling about Sappurisas. Then who are your Sappurisas in the first place? if that happened to you in your life, your parents, because they did prevent you in resorting into bad things. They did help you. If they have done, I hope that most of our parents must have done it in their own ways, right? So this is what we are learning here. Sub-policies are supposed to protect. And that protection, that guidance, that prevention in a way will help the whole community. And a paradox, a strange economy of truth. The verse highlights a paradox. Such a person is pleasing to the good Sappurisa, other Sappurisa, or fellow Sappurisa, but displeasing to the bad Asappurisas. Truth divides humanity in unexpected ways. The same correction that is cherished by one heart is hated by another. A thief despises being born, but a noble person rejoices in advice that prevents their downfall. This reveals that truth is not inherently sweet or bitter. Its taste depends on the moral palate of the listener. Correction becomes a spiritual test, separating those who love growth from those who cling to delusion. It's a mirror reflecting the hidden maturity of character. Now, the paradox is this, you can see here. This kind of a Sappurisa is appreciated by other fellow Sappurisa, but not by the fellow Asappurisa, right? So, but just because some others, maybe many, are going to dislike us, are we going to go back to our default nature, right? Now, some people, they give up on their spiritual practices because the influence that is coming from the Asappurisas is too high for them, maybe in their family. I cannot keep it going. I think I am having a certain fatigue from my own spiritual practice because I am surrounded by a lot of toxic people. Every day they are giving me visceral toxic vibes, but that is not a good excuse. You can't excuse for committing in apostle activities because you know what will happen to you, right? When you think about what will happen to me, then you need to have a plan to deal with these people in a better way, right? So this is what we are learning at this point. That means when you are a Sappurisa and when you are supporting others, you should expect certain disagreements from others, but don't try to react to them. When someone disagrees with you, don't try to argue with that person. Don't try to call these people as foolish people. You just let them be the people who they want to be. But you should expect certain kind of disagreements. Can you think about such disagreements which the Buddha had to go through? Venerable Devadatta's disagreement. That's one thing. And then there were so many other disagreements came from contemporary teachers at that time, right? And also some other people. He never wanted to escalate those situations. He was very kindly, very humbly looking at them. When they described certain things, when even someone insulted him, he was patiently listening to the blame and then finally trying to get that person into the conversation and nicely and letting that person understand what you did just now. So that means we should expect disagreements and some dislike sometimes. Okay, this is something we understand with regard to our happiness. I mean, we say love is not always pleasant. In this context, what you call context of guidance and then anusasana, we often mistake love for comfort and kindness for flattery. A true love doesn't always please. It sometimes stings. The person who truly loves us may speak words and pierce our pride, but protect our spirituality. A doctor's bitter medicine heals, and while a charlatan's sweet word destroys. In the same way, the friend who warns us of arrogance, selfishness, and unwholesome habits is a true benefactor. The flatterer who says nothing when we err is not a friend, but a silent betrayer. Thus, the verse reminds us genuine love corrects and genuine friendship sometimes feels uncomfortable. This is a very interesting aspect to look at here. Have you ever seen that there are many in our relationships, social relationships, personal relationships, that they don't correct us? They are thinking that is happening, that they are doing that because they have enormous connection to us. So they don't want to correct us, right? That might not be a good thing, but depending on your relationship, you may have to consider that in a different context. So silence with regard to akusala activities can be a problem. Maybe you should be able to find out a way to address such situation, but by not being silent all the time. Wisdom creates enemies. Once again, visible silent. We discussed that already before. And then correction reveals character. The way a person responds to correction reveals more about their heart than about the correction itself. The way, I think we discussed that, the way, listening to that person, giving options, right? That particular way matters. I think there are some people, they have very good advices, but the way they are going to give to other people, they're going to make a mess. And they will be very unhappy. You should not have told me this thing right now. I'm not going to accept anything. You should stop talking to me. Because their approach was not a good approach, right? So you might not say it as a pickup line, but it's a approach line with regard to talking to someone when it comes to Dhamma guidance, right? So you should know how to approach people. Finally, before we have some of the Q&A things, moral courage is a higher compassion. Moral courage. How do we understand this part? Now, when someone becomes a Sappurisa and going to Ovada or Anusasana to someone, this could be taken as a higher compassion. Correcting, kindly advising, and restraining requires immense courage. It is easier to stay silent and avoid conflict, but silence in the face of wrongdoing is often seen as complicity. This is a very interesting thing. Sometimes, depending on the situation, we may be silent. We know if we speak up, we will have to face problems. But that silence can lead to a lot of crimes, lead to a lot of mess. We also have to think about what to do. The one who corrects risks misunderstanding, resentment, and even hatred. Yet without such moral courage, families decay, institutions collapse, and societies fall into chaos. Compassion is not always gentle. It sometimes takes the form of firm words and bold intervention. The Dhammapada verse 77 reveals that those who dare to correct are practicing a higher form of compassion. They place truth above popularity and the welfare of others above their own comfort. Compassion is not always gentle. What is your understanding about that? Have you ever thought compassion is very gentle all the time? You feel empathetic and you are kind, you want to go and support someone, right? It is always like one-way activity. You have money, you are empathetic, now you want to go and support if possible. But sometimes, according to this verse, compassion might not be that gentle because you're going to say something by looking at the situation, right? That means we can also be compassionate by properly guiding somebody in Dhamma way. We don't always have to go and support in that particular monetary ways. We can give the best compassion to someone by supporting, guiding that person within that proper context. That has to be understood. All right, so any questions, and then we will discuss some more areas about this topic again. So going back to Assaji Punabbasukha, what happened was that Arahan Sariputta and Arahan Moggallana guided them, and some of them left the temple, some of them understood their own mistakes, and then became better ones. So the Buddha told Sangha members at that point that it is better to listen to Ovada and Anusasana. Do you know before Buddha laid down Vinaya, right? There was no Vinaya for, I think, 20 years. In the first 20 years, there were no Vinaya. Why? The Sangha members who became monks and nuns at that time, they didn't need Vinaya. But Vinaya was started after a long time. So then what was the Vinaya for the Sangha members during those 20 years? That was called Ovada Patimokkha. Let me put it this way. So this Pali word is mentioned there. Ovada Patimokkha. What is Ovada Patimokkha? Ovada Patimokkha means Sangha members get together on a full moon day, maybe any other lunar day, to the Sima, and then they are chanting certain verses. In particular, Sabba Papa Sakarana, Kusala Supasambada, Sachitta Pariyodapana, Etam Buddham Sasanam, Anupavatu, Anupagato, Patimokkha Sangvaro, so and so forth. So that those particular couple of verses were called as Ovada Patimokkha. But then what happened when Buddha became 55, he understood this is not going to be working for the Sangha members because a lot of problems started. Then he had to formally lay down Vinaya disciplinary activities. So Ovada means what do you call correcting someone kindly without an ulterior motive. At the same time, Anusasana means guiding someone multiple times. All right. Any questions that you got about today?
Bhante,
Yes.
regarding the Gatikara and Jotipala story, Jotipala is the Bodhisattva at the time, is it? Then the Gatikara is advising Jotipala regarding to see Buddha Kassapa. This is the Wada, is it?
Yes. Yes, definitely. It will become a Ovada if Gatikara, if Jotipala didn't want to see Buddha, Kasyapa Buddha. Then it will become a Avavada, Ovada. But if Jotipala was a good person, then has no problem with regard to being advised, and maybe it might have taken the form of Anusasana. So Anusasana means suggesting something when there was no reason for that guidance. It was just a guidance given without any reason. That is Anusasana. But Ovada or Avavada means a certain correction that is given to someone when that person made a mistake out of it. So definitely it could have been maybe an Anusasana. Yes, Jenny?
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah, Bhante, I just want to share my personal experience. Because I have a small group of childhood friends. So, since our primary school, so as we, grown up and, become now elderly, so we have actually ventured in our own way. So I have like more become a practicing Buddhist, and most of them they are not Buddhist, I would say, So some are free thinker, some are, other religion. So, but because we are childhood friends, so we still like every year gather once a year, just to. So as I become more into the Dhamma, so I'm kind of like, I find I'm like, how to say, not in their group, because the way of living, it's different from them. I'm kind of like not the same, not one of them, I would say. Yeah. So sometimes when they in our discussion, then my view is like opposite from them. So sometimes they find it hard to accept. And I noticed they don't understand Buddhism. So even sometimes I try to explain in general language rather than, the Dhamma language. Yeah. So they find it difficult to accept. So, and I don't want to be pushy. So most of the time I would just leave it, rather than argue with them. So in that way, I feel I'm like further and further, drifting apart from them.
Distancing from them.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
if you don't mind, you can share with a small example. I mean, if it is not too personal, I mean, what was one thing that distanced you in that cohort, in that conversation? You said that when you give your idea, you feel like it's totally the opposite. And what was one example? So we will then think about a better answer for this.
For example, now most of them we are, in retirement age. Yeah. So some of us are not working already. So, and their way of, how to say, their lifestyle in retirement is like, you go party, you go traveling, and, you go into expensive hobby, to pass time. But sometimes I say, this is, you have to be moderate lah, I know you have money, but eventually when you getting old, your body, your condition may not allow you to continue with this kind of, lifestyle. Then you may suffer when you can't do it, but you are so into, wanting, to continue with this kind of lifestyle. But to them, they don't get the idea. Yeah. This is one
No,
of the
they
examples.
don't get, maybe they don't want to get that idea too. Maybe, perhaps, right? Okay, my suggestion to this thing is, I don't think that you need to tell them what could be a better way to spend their retirement. Okay, my understanding is you better mingle with them within the situation that you feel comfortable. I mean, of course, partying, I mean, there's no problem to go for maybe a family party or something, even for a Buddhist. There's nothing unless you know your limits and what you're going to do over there, right? Because you can't be asocial. But you have your own way, but that way shouldn't be the compass for them to, moral compass for them to act. So you just mingle the way you can without teaching them. Sorry, without telling what to do, right? Telling what to do could be the biggest problem. People get hurt a lot at that point. Do's and don'ts. So you just mingle. They will go on their way. You don't have to teach Dhamma for them. I mean, I think what is more important in this thing is your friends. They are not your mango friends. They are your good friends since you were children, right? Child time, right? You don't want to give up on them too, right? I think bond is important here. Just mingle with them within the situations that you can be with them. Otherwise, you don't try to give them a framework of how you should retire, how you should behave. I mean, let them think about what they want to do. But you just carry your own way. So then you have the group, you have yourself to function in your own way.
Yeah. But another thing that I noticed is that because their activity, I mean, their interest is very different from mine.
Yeah, I think you said already, traveling, partying.
Yeah.
So a couple
So
of them, yes.
yeah, sometimes when we, they arrange those activity which I would try to avoid, then most of the time then I would not be joining. So they find me very odd.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe there may be some of the good activities you can join, but you have your own way. I mean, try not to be very much, I mean, rigid on thinking, but keep your friends. You don't have to give up on them. They may have their own interests, right? Because of their life, their happiness, what they have gone through in their life. They might tell you, yeah, we know we're getting old, but before we're getting old, we must enjoy life. This
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
us
that's
saying. So then
that's what.
what I'm gonna say, okay, I will let you enjoy. I have no problem. This is
Yeah,
my
yeah.
way, this is your way, but I value our friendship. I don't want to give up
Mm.
on that.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So try
That's why.
to, yes.
That's why most of the time I don't want to explain too much.
Yeah, you don't have to
Why?
explain. You just appreciate for who they are, and then
Yeah,
just carry on your way.
yeah.
But I'm telling you not to. It's not good to give up on the people if
Mm,
they are your friends, but try to find the best way to deal with them.
yeah.
That would be a good thing to do.
Mm. Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Yes. We can take one more question if you got.
Bhante.
Yes, yes.
Bhante. I would like to say thank you to Bhante for for outlining the three ways that a wise person can advise us. That is Ovada, Anusasana, and the Nivaraya.
Asabha,
Yeah. And I
Nivaraya.
think, Bhante, your background is so appropriate, the bamboo, because the bamboo characteristics, pliant, strong, sturdy, but flexible. And my 6 years I've been staying with my mom almost full time, and both of us have still going through this Ovada, Anusasana, and the Nivarai Asaba. So she's advising me most of the time, as much as I try to show her that her old ways might not always be pleasing to others or happy ones. So I just would like to say thank you very much, Bhante, for the three characteristics. Thank you.
Yes. I think let us improve our humility to get more Ovada, Anusasana, and the third thing. So then we will be able to learn. At the same time, we will also be that person to support other people in our Kalyana Mitta friendships. All right, I think we almost come down to the time. So at this point, we are going to transfer the good karmas. May all the good karmas that we've been doing today by learning about three things a Sattpurisa can do to other people and what you can do to other people in terms of your spiritual life be transferred to all those insights, be transferred to departed ones in the name of merits. May they be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idang me nyati nang huntu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang huntu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang huntu sukita huntu nyatayo. Next we are going to share all these good karmas with the Deva, Naga, Mahitika who protect us. May Deva, Naga, Mahitika receive all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of you for good health, quality of life, prosperity, safety, and happiness. In particular, we think that may Deva, Naga, Mahitika bless our Dhamma journey to make our Dhamma journeys to become seamless, continuous, consistent Dhamma journeys. May they finally attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha amhihi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhihi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanam. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahindika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mang parang Chirang rakhantu tvang sadati. Dhammavish is around about Kalyana Mitras Sapurises. So maybe become Kalyana Mitras, maybe support, maybe expect more Kalyana Mitras come to our life. At the same time, maybe become Kalyana Mitras to as many sentient beings as we meet in this life till we attain Nibbana. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu hotu Yavanimbana Patya. Finally, may all the good karmas we've been making today by learning about three important activities that every Sappurisa is supposed to do. May all these good karmas be helpful and supportive for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Blessings. Abhivadana siris nichang vadha prachayino chattaro dhamma vadhanti ayuvanno sukhan balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samicchatu sadhu sadhu sadhu. With that blessing activity, I'm wishing you a pleasant good night till we see again on Thursday. That's it. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Sadhu,
Good night,
Thank you, Bhante.
everyone.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
Bhante. Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Bhante,
everybody. Thank you.
sadhu.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
take care. Take care. Bye.
Sadhu,
Good
sadhu.
evening, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much, Bhante.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you. Yes.
Do Bhante.
Thank you. Yes.